Hello, it's February 2nd, 2026. Welcome to another video. Just want to say Happy New Year to all who are watching and following the channel. Haven't posted in quite a while, so the new year has come and just want to say Happy New Year. Shannon and I are looking forward to this year. We are feeling that God has brought us through a great season of training and we are making a change, but we have got to submit ourselves to God in His will in all things. So stay tuned. But we are hopeful. We are very hopeful for this year, and hopefully you'll stay along with this channel, and we'll have bigger things to report this year. Anyway, in this episode, or this video, I wanted to talk about God's testing and the ways that He will test us. So before I do that, you've already seen the title, and you'll know I'm kind of alluding to one of the tests in the title. But before I do that, I want to talk about and reiterate once again what this path of discipleship is. The path of discipleship is very narrow because it is exactly like what God did and the relationship that He had with those that we know of in the Bible, the scriptures, the historical records, in the Old Testament and the New Testament. When God called people, when He opened their eyes to the reality of Him, that He is real, that He is Lord and Shepherd and Creator and King, people, like I said, in the Old Testament and the New Testament, their eyes were opened to the reality of God, that He is real. And once a person has a real eye-opening encounter with God, they hear His voice. You hear His voice. You begin to learn how to follow Him. You literally receive God's direction and His calling to follow Him and to live out His will for each and every one of us. And we know that God's will for each person that He called, and that person answered that call. He had a different calling, and He had a different purpose and a different plan for them. So it's no different today, that our walk with God would be the exact same thing. That God is going to lead our life. He's going to give us specific directions and commands, and He will tell us, I want you to go here, and I want you to go there, and this is what I want you to do and to say, and I'm going to use you for a purpose. And it, like I said, it's the exact same today. Now, you've known, if you followed the channel, you've seen that my calling and my teaching, whatever you want to call it, the things that I share, are very much about the difference between Christian religion and how it lives and how it thinks and how it moves and how it's structured versus this actual discipleship walk, this very specific and narrow walk with God, where we literally hear Him and we do as He says. So in that very narrow walk, in that relationship with God, like Adam and Eve, very much like Adam and Eve had in the Garden of Eden, where God was present, He was there. They were only doing what He said with a realization that He's there with them at any time, ready to give them directions in His kingdom and in His presence. So I wanted to touch on 3 different ways that God will test our faith. And specifically one of them, I will give an example of what I'm going through right now, and how it may be the very hardest test in our walk, and certainly the hardest test in certain seasons of our walk. So anyway, let's talk about one of the tests that God may use to test our faith is literally to take things away from us. God will test our faith, and our faith will be challenged, and we will be rocked to the core, so to speak, in very many ways when God takes something from us, something that is very precious to us, something that we've known all of our life. It could be like Job. It could literally be takes everything away from you, in a sense of what your security is, your relationships, your life as you know it could be completely changed when we give up our lives to follow God. He can just take something that's so precious, your job, your home, your religion, your religion that was so safe and secure, and all the people and the structures that represented your life. God, when he calls us, he can take those things, and will, in the case of religion, take us out of that. There's just so many ways in which our faith can be tested, in which God just, the best I can say is he just takes something from us. And we know that that happened to Job. God allowed Satan to take almost everything but Job's life from him. His health, his family, his possessions. Now it's an extreme case, but, when we give up our lives to follow the Lord, we have to understand that it could very well mean the same thing for us. And likely it will, in varying degrees. God will take things from us. And it will be a great test of our faith. Another way that God can test our faith is to add something. So we've had the taking away. He can add something. He can and will give us directions that add something to our life, that make us have to do something. He may add a suffering to our life. He may add a direction for us that requires us to completely change our focus. He may have us completely change our careers, our jobs. He may have us change our standards of living. We may have grown up, and may have, prior to following Christ and becoming a disciple, we may very well have a comfortable American Western style standard of living and program by which we are so ingrained in that he may have a direction for us, and he will most often, a direction which turns us from that we have known, and he will add or give a direction that really challenges our faith, that we have to go, okay, are we going to trust in what we know and what we've known and the whole system that has represented our whole life, the reality that we see, that everyone says we need to follow this program and this is the only way we're going to make it in life, and God says, no, I want you to go this direction. I have a direction for you that you must change. We see God giving directions to the people that followed him in the Old Testament and New Testament, and they had to radically change their life. So I like to consider that like an ad. God will give us something, and that will be a command. God could give us, he could give us wealth even. He could give us possessions, but we have to understand that what he gives us, what he adds to us, the directions that he has for us will be a test of our faith, because we have got to take those things and we've got to obey those things no matter what they are. Whatever that addition, that commandment to our lives, we have to obey that, and it's going to rock our faith at times. Like Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, his direction, his purpose when he came to this earth, his commandment that was added to him when he came was that he had to go and do this. This was his calling from the Father, and it was a great, great suffering for him. We know what Christ went through, and the torture and his execution. Well, we will go through those things too, and we have got to endure those things, and those will be, like I said, great, great shattering mental, religious, physical, situational shatterings of the way that we have lived our lives. Now there's another test, a third test of faith, and as you can see from the title, I kind of label it nothing. That test of faith when you have nothing, when you're living with a season or a time where you kind of have nothing from God. And what it is it's something that I'm going through, and I realized it. God kind of brought that word nothing to me. The suffering and the testing by having nothing. So I'll give you an example of something I'm going through, and I've been through this before, but this particular example is just recent, where if you've watched a previous video, I let you know that God gave me a vehicle. Now, I had an older vehicle that I had for a long time. Vehicle was still running, but it was developing some problems, and it was getting old and tired, and I was just tired of it. I wanted a change. And then God radically brought this new vehicle to me, and I had to accept it. Was it what I wanted? No, it wasn't exactly what I wanted. But God gave me this vehicle, and I felt very moved that God said, take this vehicle, this is going to be your vehicle. And I've had this vehicle for 4.5 years. And through the years, it's been wonderful, and it has served not only me, but our family. And it's just something that I've accepted as God's will for this period of time. Now, I'm a type of person who really likes vehicles. My hobby is vehicles and working on vehicles, and just loving to drive, the driving and the mechanics of vehicles. It's just my hobby. It always has been since I was young. So what type of vehicle I drive is very important to me and represents me. And I like that. So God gave me a vehicle that was very suited to me, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted. So in that, I've had to kind of go, oh, I'm going to drive whatever vehicle God gives me. I've had to give that hobby up, so to speak. And I have to say, okay, God, whatever vehicle you give me, that's what I have to accept, and I have to be thankful for, and I have to get rid of this fleshly idea that I can have whatever vehicle I want at any time. So anyway, I've had some trouble with this vehicle, and God has purposely allowed some difficulty with this vehicle, and it's been going on for a couple years, and it's just been an unknown thing that just cannot figure out what's wrong with this vehicle. And I've prayed multiple times, and God has directed me to do some work on the vehicle, but it really hasn't fixed the problem. So anyway, this has just kind of been a frustrating thing, and I've just had to submit to it. And the car is still usable, but it's just really not running correctly, and sometimes it's almost like I just have to trust God every time I drive it that it's not going to die and it's not going to leave me broken down somewhere. So, middle of December, I'm once again kind of going on probably the 4th or 5th time of just going through a cycle of trying to figure out what's wrong with this vehicle, why won't it run right? And I kind of have, each time I go through this process and I work on something and it doesn't fix it, and then I work on something else and it doesn't fix it, and I've been through this process like 4 or 5 times. So I remember mid-December, and I walk out of the garage, and all of a sudden I have this idea that I hadn't had before. Sell the vehicle. Sell the vehicle. And I had never considered that before. Yes, Shannon and I would like a different vehicle. And it's been in our minds that maybe someday God's going to give us a different vehicle, because this vehicle is really old to start with. And it's not going to be our forever vehicle. So I had never really considered, I had always thought, I'm going to fix this vehicle. I'm not going to sell it as is, broken. I'm going to fix this vehicle, and our hopes that maybe we could even give it away as part of the ministry to someone in need. But all of a sudden I came out of the garage, and God's just said, sell the vehicle. And I just went, it just hit me instantly, an impression to sell the vehicle. I'd never considered that before. And so as I've learned to do, it just, the impression was very strong, and I just immediately got on it, and I posted it. I posted it, and I went, wow, this is kind of scary but exciting as well, because we have been wanting to transition away from this vehicle, and hopefully like a blessing from God to get something that I actually want this time, so to speak, and something that's going to fit ministry needs later on. Better vehicle. So I immediately posted it, and I thought that having received this direction and put it into play right away, almost immediately, that exact same day, I just immediately posted it, and I said, okay, God, if we're moving on and this is the direction you've given me, I'm going to post this vehicle, and yay, we're going to do something, we're going to change. After 4.5 years, you're going to move on and you're going to provide something new. So I did that, and of course believed that relatively quickly God was going to bring someone to purchase the vehicle, and it was going to give us some money that we need for a lot of things that have been on hold for so long. And as the days went on, nothing's happened. And so that was about mid-December. December 13th, I think, is when I actually posted it. And then the days went by, and then those days turned into weeks, and those weeks have turned into almost 2 months now. And this vehicle has not sold. And pretty quickly after I posted it, it seemed like someone was going to buy it in short order, like I had hoping and expecting. When God gives you a direction, you kind of think he's going to bring it to pass. So someone had looked like they were going to come and they were going to buy it. So I completely cleaned everything out of it and just got everything ready to sell, and it was ready to go. And then the person backed out right at the last moment. And the direction I've got from God is to leave it. Have it in a ready state to go. Don't drive it anymore. Don't put your things back into it. Like I said, I had cleaned everything out of it. Don't put your things back into it. Just leave it. And that's the state that I, by faith, have lived in. As the days have turned to weeks, and the weeks have turned to months now. And it's just like, okay, God, why did you tell me to do this? Yet why is there nothing? There's that word, nothing. Why is there nothing? Why are you bringing no one to buy this vehicle? We can absolutely use the money. We want to move forward in this new year. We want to move away from this so we can start something new. Something that will not only be a personal blessing, to get a better vehicle, but to get something that fits our ministry needs when we hope to travel later on in ministry work. So right now it's been sitting in this state of it's immediately ready to go. All my stuff is cleared out of it, not driving it, just sitting there waiting in a waiting state constantly. And this has been an element of suffering, a bit of suffering, because we are anxiously on the edge of our seats, white knuckle, just ready to go for new ministry work and new things this year. And that's our impression, that God wants us to be in a immediately waiting state. So I've got this vehicle waiting to sell. And the hard test of faith in this particular test is nothing. I'm not getting that answer. I'm not getting the corresponding action when God gave me a direction to sell the vehicle. So this is one of the ways that God is going to test us. He will give us a direction, and we think that, well, within an hour or a few days or even a couple weeks, I can handle a couple weeks. But when God waits even longer than we expect, and we're not getting anything new, it's like, well, what do you want me to do, God? And even lately, I've even started to go back to the idea, well, do you want me to fix it? You're not bringing anyone to buy it. You've given direction and nothing's happening. Do I fix the vehicle? Do I put all my stuff back into it and drive it again? Because it's going to be a long time. Put the vehicle back in service and start to use it again. No, God is having me stay in a keep it ready to go. And see, these are the specific directions that God will give us, and they will be a great test of faith because we're just not getting anything. It's like, God, why are you giving nothing? It's like God says, get up, be ready to go, we're gonna move. And then all of a sudden you're standing there, and then, like I said, the days and the weeks and the months, and you're just like, I'm ready, why are we not moving? So there will be a lot of things that might fall into this category of this nothing. We got a direction from God, we've operated on faith, we've stood up, and then it's like nothing happens. And those will be the moments where we're tempted to believe, well, did I hear God right? This is nuts. I heard him say this, but now nothing's happening. Nothing. And then we're tempted to turn and to kind of manage the situation. Well, like I said, should I really, since nothing's happening, should I start using it again? Should I try to fix it again? Or do I hold to that direction that God gave to have it ready to go and to wait as long as it takes, make that transition, kind of walk across that bridge and burn that bridge, and be ready at any moment, no matter how long it takes, and to keep what God told you to do right there, and you don't do anything, and you wait and you wait and you wait. No matter how many days you wake up and you just get nothing. You do not get the answer that you were waiting for. You do not get another direction. You do not get a correction where, oh, you were wrong, that wasn't me. That was just your idea, and now I want you to actually do this. Now that can happen if we're not careful and we're not discerning. So I just wanted to bring those three different tests. And sometimes, in fact, a lot of times, for me, I've been through many, many, many periods of nothing where God will give me a direction, and then it will turn into long, long, long periods of nothing, almost nothing. It's not that God is not with me. I know He's there, and I know that He is speaking, teaching, and comfort, and His love to me, but He's not giving me the next direction. And it's a state of readiness, it's a state of anticipation and faith that's really hard. You know, in the other tests, when we're getting an ad or a direction to us, or we're getting something taken away, at least something's happening. In a strange sense of our humanistic way we think, at least something is happening in our life. And that we're actually moving in some direction can give us comfort. But when we have no movement for months and years, when we have no movement, no new direction, no new provision, oh, those can be so, so, so difficult, if not the hardest, because it's just the periods of nothing can be so, so long. And that's when we need to hold on to that direction we were given. We are not allowed to go and, well, while I'm waiting, I'm not going to touch on this, but this while I'm waiting, I'll go do this. While I'm waiting, I'll just go do a bunch of good works. While I'm waiting, I'll go away from the scenario or the situation. I'll just put that away and I'll go do some other stuff. See, a lot of Christians and a lot of religion operates in this idea that, okay, God can do this, but we're going to go do this. And I'm not going to touch on that. That's for another video. But we are to wait. We are to wait in that place of nothingness. And it can be our greatest test of faith because we're just not receiving anything, and Satan and our minds and other people around us will say, are you sure you heard right? Nothing's happening. And it's really, really a difficult time. So I want to give this video out about something I'm going through. And I've had many examples of this where just nothing, and it's just excruciating at times, because you so badly want God to give you that next direction. You so badly want God to send you into that new work, that new opportunity, that new provision that you so badly need. And God won't do it. His timing is, we are not going to move God any faster than He's going to go. Nothing we do will move God faster. And He has a way that He will test our faith through that nothingness. He is there. He hasn't left us. And His presence is not nothing. It is everything. It is vital. It is important. But He will be quiet, and He will not give us anything new. And we must sit, and we must have that situation, or anything really in our lives must be, we did what God said, and we wait, and we do nothing, we have nothing until He brings the next direction, the provision, the fulfillment of the direction He gave us. So I just wanted to bring that out as an encouragement, an understanding of how God will test our faith. And if you're going through one of these tests of faith, you're being given something, something's being added to you, you've been commanded to do something, and it's tough for you and you're really struggling with it. It could be something positive but overwhelming. It could be something negative that you're just fearful and you just can't do it, don't know how you're going to do it. God be taking something away from you. Very, very difficult, but this nothingness, this state of waiting and nothingness is extremely difficult in a test of faith, and we have to endure that, and God will use it in really, really real ways. So encouragement to discern and understand those tests of faith, and to hold fast to what God is calling you to do. Do not add things that you think are good. Do not take away things that you think are bad. Do not try to better your situation. Do not try to help God. Don't try to help God along. You do what God says. You don't step away from the nothingness process and go have something. And, well, I'm just going to go do some other things. You gotta wait. You've got to stand with the command that God gave you, the direction that God gave you. It's very hard, but God will build our faith. He will teach us. He will train us through it. And we will reap an amazing testimony of faith and connection and relationship with God, understanding Him on a deeper level and experiencing His love and His blessing in our life through this. And we just need to understand those tests of faith. So hopefully this is an encouragement to you. Hopefully it brings some understanding. If you're going through one of these tests and you just don't have anyone else that you know that's going through these things, it helps to know that, yeah, this is what I'm going through. I'm feeling this too. This really, really difficult test of faith that God has told me to do something. This is for disciples. This is encouragement. So feel free to leave a comment or anything about your particular situation that you're going through, and as an encouragement for anyone else who watches these videos and is walking out this faith with God, that we are a testimony and encouragement to others. So thank you for watching this. Stay tuned for another video soon. Thank you. Bye.